You are a toy. Introducing the limited edition AntDude U2's vinyl figure. Have you ever thought to yourself, well boy, that guy talking about video games on the internet sure is funny and original. I would sure love to have him watch me every minute of the day for the rest of my life in vinyl figure form. Well, thankfully, this U2's has you covered. Friggin' weirdos. Oh man, look at how cute he is. This little 360 profile here is adorable. It's the best. Oh, what's even better is getting one of these figures in real life, and if you want one of these lovely boys in your life, then stay tuned because they will go live on the U2's website on July 8th at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. And again, they're limited, so once they're gone, they are gone for good, and you're not going to want to miss out because then I'll be sad. And sweet little bonus, I will be doing a giveaway as well. What you're going to want to do is click the link down below and partake in one of the multiple options to enter in for your chance to win a figure. Nothing but the biggest thank you to U2's for this incredible opportunity. I genuinely love this thing. As you can tell, I have a lot of plastic and vinyl that I collect, so this is really awesome. My lifelong dream of becoming vinyl is complete. Oh. That was my Pixar impression. What'd you think? Now, you may not know this little nugget about me, as I don't really cover much non-video game stuff on this channel, but I love Pixar. I know, quite the hot take. I can't help myself. From the beautiful early years of A Bug's Life and Monsters, Inc. up to the modern stuff with Turning Red, Lightyear, many more, this is a studio with so many classics under its belt. And the good dinosaur is also there.
Trash. No, that's the trash.
But yes, of course, it's Toy Story that remains Pixar's most robust franchise. You got 4 main movies, a 5th one technically with Lightyear, probably more films in the future. This weird TV cartoon featuring Buzz Lightyear back in the day, that was a weird one. A whole bunch of other TV specials and shorts. I mean, Toy Story, more like Milk Story, am I right? Opinions do tend to vary on all of the movies. You know, I'm not so huge on the 4th one, and Lightyear I kind of thought was just above average, but undoubtedly these are still all quality stories with great casts of characters and a very interesting world with moments that will stick with you until the end of time. Sometimes I rewatch the ending to Toy Story 3 just to feel something, and I will never be ashamed to admit that. But this isn't a movie channel, it's a video game channel, and with a franchise as successful as Toy Story, of course, the video games weren't too hard to find. Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, alongside those movie releases, the world was also treated to video game adaptations. It's kind of interesting using these games as a bit of a historical example. It is a really played out talking point honestly, but it did used to be that if any form of media was even somewhat popular, then yes, of course it was going to get a video game, and you're stupid for thinking otherwise. Naturally, Home Improvement was going to get a release on the Super Nintendo. I'm waiting for it to show up on the Nintendo Switch Online app so that service can finally be considered good, and we can maybe get a sequel one day. And I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I used to think the N64 Army Men games were associated with the movie franchise too. They were primary characters in the movies, right? So like, what better way to introduce kids to the concept of war than with these little guys? Makes sense to me. Toy Story 4 and Lightyear though, yeah, nothing. Even though those stories can easily be adapted just as well as the others, if not more so, and could have been a good use of the continuing showcase of generational improvements for these consoles as we got newer and more powerful technology. Instead, in more recent years, the franchise has been used in more of a broad sense. Toy Story would show up in a few Disney-themed Connect games on Xbox. The characters got figurines in the relatively short-lived Disney Infinity series. Of course, there's the Toy Box world in Kingdom Hearts 3 that throws you into a random mall instead of Al's Toy Barn, and yes, I am still bitter about that, but at least we have Woody standing off against Xehanort. That's the best part of the entire series.
My guess is no one's ever loved you before.
Well, let's be real here. There is no better crossover game than Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. Oh yeah. We got the worlds of Tarzan, Lion King, and of course Toy Story, where you get to play as some of the iconic characters from those movies and skate across some familiar locales. Or you could also like play as these random little kids collecting McDonald's fries and getting sold on Nokia phones. Dear God, why? It's a pretty bare bones Tony Hawk's Pro Skater-like experience, but considering this is all on the same engine, it does feel really good to play. Sticking to the main topic here, we have Andy's Room, Pizza Planet, and Zurg's Worlds to explore, and it is simply fun watching Buzz pull off all of these sick tricks that we have zero reason to believe he can actually do. It's probably one of the Buzz clones from Toy Story 2, that's the canon I'm going with. And doing all of this with Grow Up by Simple Plan playing in the background on loop ad nauseum, that was the only song I wanted to play back in the day. This game was built for a very specific demographic, and damn it, I love it as a result. I don't wanna be told to grow up. Just the whole idea of having a wacky crossover is one of my favorite concepts in gaming anyway, and then having a skating game on top of that, yeah, perfect stuff. One of the problems with this game though is that you can't play as characters in anything but the worlds they're from. Like you can't bring Toy Story characters into the worlds of Tarzan or Lion King, and that's a big shame. So I'm gonna propose this. Let's look at the long game here. Tony Hawk 1 and 2 Remake is a thing now, so fingers crossed that Disney stops being stingy and we get this one remade next. Just use the same engine like you did back in the day. It would be great. Bring back the McDonald's sponsorship even. I don't care. And now, yes, of course, this can all be circled back to 1995 and the original Toy Story for Super Nintendo and Genesis. This game just oozes that 90s vibe, man. That chunky speech audio on the title screen. Bouncing 3D sprites just to impress you. And the incredible attention to detail to capture the style of the movie. When you're going up against the likes of Donkey Kong Country and Mortal Kombat, hey, a little bit of realism in these pixels, it'll go a long way. I mean, aside from the poor edging on Woody.
The first thing you notice is the poor edging on Woody.
I really hope this one doesn't get me demonetized. Nothing but respect for gaming in the Clinton years. For many retro enthusiasts out there, this game is considered a classic. Quite frankly, it seems like all it takes is being a licensed game with a modicum of competency to get there, but hey, all things considered, the game's not that bad. Not great, but not bad. As a massive platformer guy, I always thought the concept of retelling a movie's plot points with platformer stages was super compelling. I am that easy to please. Gathering all the toys before Andy spots us, trying to outshine the new toy, Buzz Lightyear, navigating through Pizza Planet without being seen, getting chased by Sid's dog near the end, trying to fly back into Andy's mom's car as the final mission, it is really cool stuff. They did take some creative liberties, because really early on there's like this really massive Buzz Lightyear nightmare boss fight. That thing terrified the hell out of me when I was a kid. He's just massive in size and menacing. He can teleport around you at will, and I had to learn the hard way in this fight that you do not want to be in the way when his laser goes off.
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
This audio is emblazoned into my psyche. Jesus, I wish anything made me this excited. We also have a good amount of genre blending here too. There's some top-down racing segments, the aforementioned stealth section, the nightmare fuel as well. Can't forget about that one, never will. There's some auto-scrolling segments too, not really much of a surprise. This was very prevalent during this era. There's a first-person alien rescue mission? Oh god, this is so surreal. And you know what? Overall, it's still pretty good. Hard as nails though, scratch that, when you lose all of your lives. Back to the title screen, start from the beginning, idiot! Yeah, this whole quote-unquote old-school difficulty that used to be such a big deal back in the day is pretty dumb if I'm being honest. Nowadays, in the world of regular save states and rewind features, just load up an infinite life cheat in the emulator you're using and you will save yourself a lot of trouble. I cannot recommend this game otherwise. Not like it really saves the game from total frustration anyway. The swinging mechanics are annoying, admirable that they tried, but very annoying. The hitboxes are all over the place. Trying to get this stupid tire to land on Buzz's head during this boss fight, I swear to Miss Bo Peep, this is the worst. I know why Woody dances like he does at the end of levels now. He's just happy to be making it out alive. Definitely an iconic 16-bit game, all things considered. But you're all here to watch me talk about Toy Story 2, I'm not stupid. Listen, unless you've been living under a rock your entire life, there is a good chance by now that you have heard many singing the praises of Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the rescue for the Nintendo 64, PS1 computers, eventually the Dreamcast, recently one of the top reasons to subscribe to the PlayStation Plus premium service, and now I'm here to tell you that yes, this game is great. Don't let Buzz's creepy face tell you otherwise. You are a sad, strange little man. and you have my pity. Alright, hear me out here. Toy Story 2 is the primary inspiration behind Metroid Prime. Don't turn the video off just yet, you know I'm right. You can't really ask for anything better, honestly. During the heyday of the early 3D collectathon platformer craze, or dare I say buzz, Traveler's Tales took the plot of the movie, played super loose with the original vision of going all over the place in order to rescue Woody from Large Al, and simply gave us a great set of worlds with multiple things to do, plenty of things to collect, and controls that actually really hold up. You would think that this would be an instance of things feeling kinda dated here, especially since it's a licensed game on top of all that, but no. This game rules, even today. And when I mean they were playing very loose with the story here, quite frankly, the movie this is based on is a total afterthought. You got these cute little segments from the movie that are just thrown in here in between levels in all of their glorious, crusty PS1 compressed glory, but really, it's all pretty irrelevant. Most of the game is you blasting enemies with your laser, which, if you recall,
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
like later on in the game, you interact with Jessie and Bullseye on your quest to save Woody. Something that is legitimately impossible by the movie's plot, let alone the fact that Bullseye is talking to you here. Stupid Pete probably wouldn't have gotten away with anything that he did in the film if that were the case there. It's a talking horse. You're not gonna win. All of your friends are the ones that are halting your progress, since they are mainly the ones that are giving you the tokens that you need. Always knew you couldn't trust Ham. And obviously the fact that every stage has a boss to take down, one of which being a friggin' Zerg kite? Oh goodness, how terrifying. Oh no, poor Fake Buzz though. A character that is critical to the plot of the movie, reduced to being stuck in a car in a stupidly simple fight, and then you never see him again. The stupid Zerg kite is more intimidating than Fake Buzz here. The game is over 20 years old and I am furious about that. And also, sure, songs like You Got a Friend in Me are certainly classics, I'm not about to talk down on them, but the video game has a better soundtrack than the movie. There, I said it. Why did they go so hard with this soundtrack? I don't understand. Rex, I'm right here. I'm in front of you. What the I always loved really early on in the game, one of the missions is this race against RC, and when you beat it in said race, the dude just loses it and spins around until the end of time. Sore loser much? This is a platformer that just feels really good to play, and all of the challenges that you tackle test your exploration and your mastery of the game's fairly basic mechanics, with just a tiny bit of backtracking after you unlock some add-ons in later levels. Aside from that backtracking, the pacing is damn near perfect. Each of the stages also feature very similar challenges, bringing coins to Ham, finding 5 lost items, competing in a race, solving some sort of puzzle, and taking down a boss. Variety is in Toy Story 2's strong suit, but for a 15-stage ride over a few hours, each of said stages being fairly distinct from one another, you really can't go wrong here. Everyone says this is the golden era of collectathon 3D platformers, right? This game deserves to be in that conversation. Oh man, except for that weird alleyway goo boss though, that thing used to freak me out when I was really young. Between that and the Nightmare Buzz boss fight, man, I saw a lot as a kid that I am not happy that I have like basically trauma over. Are there still some issues? Of course. What 3D platformer of this era doesn't? But come on now, if SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom can get the remake treatment, I don't see why this can't too. Toy Story 2 repackaged, exclusive to PS5, you can have that idea for free. And while we're at it, you know what? Do a Bug's Life 2. That game was made by the same developers, so it is just as much quality. It is so much fun, and actually pretty impressive just how many Disney games from this era are still really fun. A Bug's Life reseeded. I am just filled with good ideas today. I'm sure Mr. Disney would be proud. But now I want to take a bit of a detour. Before moving on to Toy Story 3, it's time to talk about an actually competent spin-off that came out not too long after Toy Story 2. Toy Story Racer. While this did release after the second movie, it actually features nothing from that movie. It's just based on Toy Story 1, which means this is a promotional piece for the franchise as a whole, rather than any specific thing. And that's kind of strange, actually. I kind of like that. You never see that happen. And even crazier than that, yeah, this game is pretty good. Don't let those mind-rotting faces steer you wrong. You get it? Steer. It's a racing game. Now you would probably assume that this would be a by-the-books Mario Kart clone, but that is actually not the case. As your character of choice, you get to take part in, honestly, just this ridiculous amount of missions. Oh my god, this list is never ending. And by doing missions as a specific character, you'll receive stars that will unlock more missions for your character as well as other characters. And while racing is the primary component, there's some battle stages too. But where the game really stands out are in the controls. Rather than just accelerating and sticking to the track, you really feel like you have full 360-degree control of your car at all times. And getting to race around familiar areas like Andy's house and somewhat unfamiliar areas like a massive parking lot is just enough to make this still feel like you're in the world of Toy Story. Because otherwise, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't really know where in the series timeline it would be beneficial to these characters to get into a car and then want to blow each other up. But if that were to become a movie, I do think I would watch it. It's not a mind-blowing experience, but it is solid enough to where I was compelled to keep doing missions because you never know what you're gonna get next. The only thing that really sucked though is whenever you're tasked with knocking out all of the opponents in a time limit, else you fail and have to start over, and the final racer is always damn near impossible to find, let alone hit. That really sucks. I wanted to dismantle this stupid dinosaur toy for real after a half hour of trying to chase him down. I guess I felt good after I finally got that done, but God, at what cost? Ultimately, a shockingly competent kart racer that manages to do its own thing when they could have easily been just a Mario Kart clone. I love Crash Team Racing to death, but that's got Mario Kart DNA written all over it and you can't tell me otherwise. Man, this has been a pretty surprising romp this far. These Toy Story games have held up surprisingly well. Let's fast forward a few years now. Toy Story 3. You know what? This game is good too. Oh my god, Toy Story is a quality video game trilogy and kart racer combo? Oh man, move over, Crash Bandicoot. Now don't get me wrong here, it's no Toy Story 2 90s platforming bliss, but in essence, this is kinda going for the same thing. The events of the movie are here, kinda. The story is told in retrospect essentially, whenever you're on the level map, but the locations should be pretty familiar. Like you will eventually visit Sunnyside Daycare and whatnot, but again, it's all played very loose. You got this really neat Woody's Roundup section at the start where you get to ride on Bullseye, save the orphans, and take down the evil Dr. Porkchop. Later on, you venture through the evil factory where all the toys almost died. Who can forget such an iconic trauma-inducing moment from a children's movie? There's this one bit where you play as Buzz on his quest to take down Zurg, and it is basically like playing that one part from the Toy Story 2 movie. Like all of the set pieces are there, the music is incredibly similar. This is that segment from the movie, but I'm playing it so many years later. Oh my god, this is the coolest thing. But when I got to this one bit where I'm like grinding with style through asteroids in space like it's the end of Sonic Adventure 2, I knew the actual plot of this game really didn't matter. It's nowhere near as polished as the previous game, but mechanically speaking, this is yet another decent platformer in the world of Toy Story. And that's pretty rad. It is shorter than Toy Story 2, it is more linear than Toy Story 2, there is a noticeable lack of Zurg kite, but it's still pretty fun. However, the big appeal with this game wasn't really the campaign, it was the toy box mode. Here you get dropped into, well, a toy box, and you get to explore and do quests. That's it. You can go and talk to a guy, you can go collect some stuff, you can go and ride like the wind on Bullseye and a whole bunch of races. It is just a series of mindless side quests, really. But there's something so nice about having this world where you can just kind of turn your brain off and have a little bit of fun at your own pace in the world of Toy Story. And there is a ton to do here too. The campaign is only a couple hours long, but this toy box is like triple the length, and you're making progress non-stop. It is really addicting, honestly. There's always some crooks that you can throw in jail, a bunch of cosmetics to unlock for your residents and buildings, there's these photos that you can take for a special photo quest. Sure, it's all bare bones stuff, but I mean, come on, you can shoot robots with a laser gun as Jessie. Look at the fear of God she's giving off with those eyes, you would be scared too. And this is all done to keep the town safe under the rule of Mayor Ham. One of my favorite parts about this whole story narrative that takes place here is there's this one point where like his political career is in danger due to a toxic debate with the crook, when clearly Ham, I mean obviously, is the one who should remain in power. Sorry, I shouldn't have injected politics into this, that was rude of me. Now, true gamers out there would know that this would be the basis behind the eventual toy box mode in Disney Infinity, where it is basically the same idea across a whole lot more worlds with a whole lot more characters. At least I would assume that's the case. I'm not about to buy hundreds of dollars of plastic figures in order to figure that out. I own enough as it is. Just based on the fact that this toy box mode is included with the game and that level of content you can experience without any of that toys to life shenanigans, this is therefore the better game. Sorry, them's the rules. Plus, fun fact I guess, I also own this game 3 times now. Clearly I'm the biggest Toy Story 3 video game fan you could find. I got the game on Steam, it is readily available there, and the lighting is off, the character models feel like they're just the Wii version, upscaled. This one is very, very strange, as opposed to the Xbox 360 version. Well here, thank God for Daddy Phil Spencer. It is backwards compatible on a Series X. I can just load it up, it looks great, I can get achievements, and look at the models. It's clearly better than the PC version. I have no idea what that's about. And then physically, there's the PlayStation 3 version, and this one is special because this is the only way you get to play as Zurg. Oh god, the console wars are still real and I'm so torn. Actually, nowadays, with Toy Story 2 available on PlayStation 5 and Toy Story 3 available on Series X, oh man, for $500, I simply can't decide which console to get. But hey, nowadays, thanks to modern technological advancements, we also have an official means to play Toy Story 3 on the go. Finally, something to put the Steam Deck through its paces, I guess. But if you were thinking to yourself, well hey, that simply wasn't enough versions of Toy Story 3, well, you're in luck. Toy Story 3 was also released for the DS and the PSP, each made by different studios, with the PSP version also showing up on PS2. I'm surprised they also didn't try to release this on the GameCube, Xbox, and Dreamcast as well. Why not? You could have covered all the bases, make a game and watch a game while you're at it. While both games here clearly play differently, they both go through basically the same motions. That Woody's Roundup section at the beginning of the adventure, yep, that's also here on the PSP, but instead of throwing balls, you have a whip as your main attack. So different. And then also on the DS, it's here too, where there's some shoehorned touchscreen shenanigans, because, of course, that's mandated by law, I think. The gameplay is definitely more traditional in the PSP version. The stages are all different, but it's that same level of linearity from the console version, with similarly fine controls. And you get some cute little distractions here or there, like this auto-scrolling bit, which is actually based on the Woody's Roundup TV show from the movie, and that's kinda cute. There's also some stealth sections in here too, like what? Okay, we're going for the Metal Gear Peace Walker market, I guess. Good stuff. Naturally, you should expect less from the DS version, but it's still a game. Way more handholdy though. You are constantly pushed in the right direction, so it is clear they were aiming for an even younger demographic than usual, but hey, these talking scenes are shockingly well animated, so gotta admire that. The same level of quality cannot be said for the static image cutscenes though. Ugh! Dear Godchild, swallow your food before opening your mouth, that's disgusting. There was one part that genuinely scared me though. There's this feature where you get to record a line for one of the green aliens using the DS's microphone. So, naturally I went with the opening lines to the B movie.
According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly.
I'm funny. I didn't think much of it, and I didn't know that was gonna be the audio that plays whenever you save more aliens. So when I did save an alien and got this audio blasted into my ears,
According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly.
boy, that woke me the hell up, I'll tell you that much. Also, there's a tower defense segment? Excuse me? It goes on for pretty long, but sure enough, you gotta protect the village from these evil forces that have to walk in one specific line. This feels so out of place, but thank goodness we finally get to put Ham out of his misery. One other weird thing about this game, when I booted it for the first time, there was something about making an avatar from my Disney Gamer account. That was a thing? Yeah, okay, yep, that's me, alright. Sadly, with the death of the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection, I will never get to truly know what this Disney Gamer stuff was all about. And that's a true shame because I can tell this kid's going places. I'm sure plenty of you people out there have nostalgia for these two versions, but they're more oddballs than anything else. There are portable versions of Toy Story 1 and 2, and we'll get to those. So, yeah, surprisingly enough, the main video game trilogy surprisingly still holds up, for the most part. And also, I'm not really lying about that one part, a Toy Story 2 remake would be incredible and be one of the most exciting gaming announcements of the year. Just slip it into a Nintendo Direct or a Sony State of Play, and I guarantee it'll do numbers. Disney, why aren't you answering my calls? No video game for Toy Story 4, no video game for Lightyear. In the series timeline, Toy Story 3 is the latest game in the series. There was a port of Mania that did release after, but I'll get to that, it doesn't count. So, it is time to start jumping around a little bit. I know a lot of you wanted me to jump into the jank department a whole lot earlier, but here we are. We got a whole lot of oddities in this franchise, as you would come to expect, and it's going to be a wild ride. So, golly bob howdy, here we go. Naturally, this is a popular franchise, so mobile games slip through the cracks too. If I'm trying to cover everything here, I guess I can't pretend that these don't exist. Toy Story Drop, a color matching game if you're in the market for your 726th game of that genre on your phone of choice, there's that. Toy Story Smash Up, a Boomblocks clone. Huh. Okay. I mean, if we're never gonna get a third Boomblocks game, I'll take whatever I can get. To the shock and awe of absolutely nobody, these mobile games have nothing notable to speak of, but, before you start thinking I'm simply padding out the video here, a mobile game did catch my eye, a much more recent game, Disney Mirrorverse. Conceptually, it does seem kinda neat, all of these Disney worlds coming together with like this grittier art style. It's an incredibly basic RPG / beat 'em up hybrid by the looks of things, but all the characters look great. I love the stylistic switch they were going for here. It makes total sense to use that as opposed to just pulling in the models from the source material. But I'll be real, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have no desire to actually play this. But have you seen the Mirrorverse version of Woody? Oh baby. Whew. There's a snake in my boot. But okay, fine. Back to real video games. Toy Story Mania. It's a gallery shooter. Yep. I swear in this current day and age, Sonic has ruined the word mania for me. In my eyes, when I hear Toy Story Mania, I want a sick 2D platformer that looks like a modernized Toy Story 1 through the events of every single movie, but no. Instead, they took the attraction that you can find in Disney theme parks, slapped some interactive menus on top of it, and put it for sale. Wow, it's like I'm really at a theme park that I spent far too much money to get into, but I don't have to walk behind people in giant crowds that don't know how to walk in giant crowds, and they walk so slow, I just want to get to the ride. Okay, maybe this video game has its benefits. I will say this much, Toy Story Mania is the perfect Wii game that you will usually find in the bargain bins at Walmart for like 10 plus years because people refuse to buy it. That's this game. Being that this is a gallery shooter, the pointer controls actually make total sense for the Wii, which makes it kinda weird that it's also readily available on Steam too, and the mouse controls really don't feel as good. The resolution is weird in this one too, the sound effects are way too loud and I couldn't make them any lower. Would not recommend. I wouldn't even begin to consider the PS3 and 360 versions with just controller support. That's a big no-no. I feel like I'm already giving this game way more screen time than it actually deserves. I will give them credit, it does seem like the actual ride was translated over as best as it could be to a console, but it's such a weird idea. Oh yeah man, we ported It's a Small World to the Atari Jaguar. Like, cool, I guess. However, this game is notable for being one of the most accessible Toy Story games you could find, funnily enough. It's on Steam, the Wii, PS3, Xbox 360, this one without backwards compatibility support, and I for one am very upset about that, and it can even be found in plug-and-play form. Yeah, you remember plug-and-plays, right? When you would beg for new video games and your parents would come home with one of these instead. It does look like the actual gun from the ride, so that's kinda cool, but if you ever played a plug-and-play before, you know not to really expect much in terms of raw power. This wasn't gonna replace your PS2 anytime soon. It's like you're upscaling a Game Boy Color game. There were a few of these plug-and-plays actually. There's like this motion-controlled one with some games like tilting Buzz around on a ball. How exciting. It looks like he's being forced to do this by gunpoint. There's this General Disney one that has an Army Men game that actually kinda looks like the original Genesis game, if you squint a whole lot. And even this coloring book one for the times when an actual coloring book was too expensive, I guess? Hey, in this one you get to color that iconic scene where Buzz was going through a depression phase. This whole thing hits a whole lot different now that I'm older. Toy Story 1 and 2 activity centers. Now these I can get behind. Back in the earlier PC days, these activity centers were this great little extension of the movie's universe by providing a handful of point-and-click games to play through, progressing through a cute minor story while doing so. You get to play a board game against Slinky, a card game against Ham. Oh my god, look at those 3D graphics on this pipe maze, man. Games will never look better than this.
Click on something, and we'll have a closer look.
I think that was a threat? These are obviously kids games. These hit the same demographic as products like Toy Story Mania and the Plug and Plays hit, but these do a much better job immersing you in the world that you spent your hard-earned money to immerse yourself into. I was more of a Bugs Life Activity Center kid myself. It's basically all of the same stuff the Toy Story one had, but it also has a full-blown fetch quest, and characters that just stare at you motionless while you figure out what to do next. Oh my god, I take it back. I don't like this at all. This is a horror game now. And it turns out there were a ton of these Activity Center games too. Oh my god, it was like for every single Disney property back in the day. Why did they stop? I can tell that they did start to have a much smaller budget when it came to Toy Story 2 though. The first one actually kind of looks like the movie, but the second one, oh no. Everything here looks like it's a Windows 98 screensaver. It's making me uncomfortable. Also, that ain't Woody, and you're not gonna tell me otherwise. This is a side story where the real Woody died and we got a body double instead. I can see through this chunk of plastic's lies any day. This is all typical licensed game mumbo jumbo. Wow, a movie franchise that's based off a bunch of cartoons that were aimed for small children, have a bunch of video games that are targeted for small children. I can't believe it. The thing that I ultimately find very interesting though is just how thin some of these companies can stretch these popular franchises with the video games. Like, okay, do you remember the Buzz Lightyear and Star Command cartoon? Well, if you didn't, now you do. Sorry I brought up that really well-kept memory. I mean, when you really think about it, Buzz Lightyear the toy was based off of the stories of a spaceman, correct? Well, why not show those stories? That's what the new movie did. Let's have a cartoon too. We got 62 episodes and it lasted like less than 4 months. Oh my god. This cartoon goes over many of the adventures that Buzz and his ragtag group of Space Ranger partners with names such as, I can't really remember at this point, and randomness ensues while sometimes taking down Zurg along the way. It's a 2000s cartoon, alright. And you know what? Man, I don't want to ruin anyone's nostalgia for the show. I know how much that feeling sucks, but I will say this is definitely one of the cartoons from that time. You got familiar characters getting thrown into wacky scenarios. That's it. That's like the whole show. Not surprised it lasted four months. Oh my god. At the very least, the mere concept of expanding the universe of Toy Story is really cool. Apparently, there's actually some direct connections between it and the recent Lightyear movie, with the movie's director saying that it is now placed into the Toy Story timeline as the movie that the Star Command cartoon was a spin-off of. And obviously, we're gonna talk about it, said cartoon got a video game release as well. So, we have a video game based on an animated TV show based on a character from a movie, but said show is now framed as an in-universe animated spin-off of an in-universe film that originated the character from the original film. What?
Ooh, bye.
Look at this face. Never trust this face. So, oh god, this even looks pretty bad. Alright, I gotta get past this. Essentially, you are constantly on the hunt for evildoers, and to succeed in your missions, you simply have to follow them on these incredibly linear paths, collecting some items if you feel up to it, I guess, and then mashing the fire button when you do get to them.
I can see that we'll have to do this the hard way.
Oh god, I found a jet board. Oh, okay, oh, I'm going on this now. Okay, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like this at all. This sucks. This sucks a whole lot. Get me off this crazy thing. Oh, but my simple curiosity got the best of me. What if I catch up to the bad guy before getting to the finish line? Nothing. You just gotta like keep moving alongside him or in front of him and then he'll catch up to you by the finish. It's weird. This is a weird game. I'm not saying that we needed to follow in the trend of Toy Story 2 with having a full-blown platformer here, but Buzz just feels so bad to control here. You're navigating through chaos until you get to the end and it doesn't feel good. There's no nuance to any of this. It would be one thing if they decided to go for more of a Crash Bandicoot approach of linear platforming, but this is just you constantly pushing through obstacles in a straight line and then mashing the fire button at the end. And then you get rewarded with clips from the show, and like, I forgot there's a scene with Buzz Lightyear in a turtleneck, but he's very clearly still wearing the spacesuit under it. I don't like this. I feel uncomfortable. Take me off this ride. Man, I don't know. Maybe the Game Boy Color version is better. What do you think? Oh, buddy, you alright? Oh. Oh, no. So the gameplay loop is the same here, with you just needing to get to the end, and then you have a shootout with the boss, and you know, that's the nicest thing I have to say about this. Yes, this game does control like garbage. How can you tell? Listen here, okay? At the end of the day, licensed properties that not only have video games, but portable versions of said video games, you know that we were in the making for just some of the greatest stuff you've ever seen in your life. Back when game companies would be like, yeah, of course Toy Story Racer is releasing on both the PS1 and then Game Boy Color, and then not show off the Game Boy Color version ever, and hope that you just buy it anyway, because hey, your kid has a Game Boy Color, right? They will love this one. So yes, aside from Star Command, the Game Boy lineup included 3 other games: Toy Story Racer, Toy Story 1, and Toy Story 2, and hoo baby, we got some true gems here. A kart racer on the Game Boy Color. This should be a sight to behold. Oh, wow. Okay, I will do my best to describe this. Essentially, as you accelerate, you kind of push forward through a cutscene of the track. You mostly notice it when you get a slowdown effect and the track starts to move at a slideshow pace, and it is incredibly hard to look at. I know, sorry to break the illusion here, the Game Boy Color isn't actually rendering 3-dimensional race tracks on the fly. I don't think that's possible. Resident Evil almost did 3D and then that got scrapped, so it wasn't gonna be Toy Story that was gonna save the day. Visually, it doesn't make it any less impressive, but mechanically, it just doesn't feel all that great. I mean, there's not a whole lot of car races on the Game Boy Color. You're up against the likes of Looney Tunes Racing and Disney Magical Racing Tour, but I guess in that context, this might be the best one. If Mario wasn't gonna have a kart game on the console, then save it for these 90s cartoons, I guess. All I'm saying is we should have this game remastered with proper online play. That way we can cultivate a full-on competitive multiplayer experience with this one. It'll be great, I promise. It probably goes without saying, but we are better off trying to convert a platformer to the Game Boy Color than a racing game, so let's see how Toy Story 2 made the jump to the Game Boy Color instead. Ha! Oh my. Oh, I think Buzz has to go to the little toys room. Okay, I have been running around Andy's 25 square mile room here for 10 minutes and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. You have access to a delayed jump button, a delayed laser button.
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
Oh, yep, we got it! What I found out is there's this toy car up on a shelf here, and if I go onto it, then whoa! What happened? I see a coin up here, so very clearly that's where I need to go. But I just can't get it. I'm pressing every stupid button I can, it's not happening. I'm 20 seconds into this game and I already have to look up a video guide. This is pathetic. So apparently you have to like go onto the bed here, and then when you go to jump, Buzz will automatically pop out his wings and then jump on this ball in this specific way. Okay, I'm lost again. Apparently he's supposed to land on the car after this, and that somehow will give you the momentum that you need to proceed. But nothing, I can't replicate that here. And besides, I'm not really liking the vibes this store brand ham knockoff is giving me, so I think I'm gonna move on here. Man, I can't believe that Tier Text Design Studios let me down on this one. Okay, the final game on this list, let's go back to where we started. The original Toy Story, but for the Game Boy. That game was already a 2D platformer. They can't possibly screw this one up as bad as the sequel was. Oh god, it's Tier Text again. Level 1, baby, let's go! Okay. I think they just took the console game and threw it in a blender. Why does Andy own a million blocks that all just have the letter B on it? I mean, it is kind of the same as the console versions. The goals do remain the same, so it's kind of interesting in that way. Even if I feel like I'm on something illegal while playing it. Did you think that Woody's little dance when you beat a level was something that was only in the console game? Well, on Game Boy, he doesn't dance, that's true, but my guy just loses it. He wants out of this Game Boy just like I do. It is mostly just the platforming stuff that's here. Sadly, they did not try to convert the first-person level or even the Buzz Lightyear Nightmare Fuel, so maybe this game is better as a result, but man, shrinking everything down to the Game Boy small scale, that Nightmare Fuel would have been amazing to see. I guess I'll just fantasize about it instead. Tier Text certainly tried here. A direct conversion for the first game, something brand new for the second. I mean, both deserve to go into that fire the toys almost fell into in the third movie, but hey, A for effort, right? You know, along this journey, we've also mentioned A Bug's Life a few times. Like, those movies were fairly synonymous at the time. If you watched Toy Story 2, you probably watched A Bug's Life. If you played Toy Story 2, you probably played A Bug's Life. If you played the Activity Centers, you probably played that one. You get it. And funnily enough, that movie did get a Game Boy Color game too, and look at that. Tier Text is at the helm. Once again, they're back, baby. And this is kind of more impressive. Like, there's a bit of an FMV with the Disney logo in it at the very beginning, and that's pretty impressive for the Game Boy Color. And then you get into the game and, yeah, I'm gonna be good on that one. Totally gonna judge the book on the cover with Bug's Life on Game Boy Color. Hope nobody's upset. Well, that's that. After playing basically every single Toy Story video game I could find, at the end of the day, what are my recommendations? Well, Toy Story 2 is really good.